Why do Jewish people eat Chinese food on Christmas? The answer, my friends, is not so kosher. Jews' Chinese food and Christmas dates back to the turn of the century, a time when many Jewish people lived in Manhattan alongside with the Chinese community. On Christmas Day, many Christian businesses and restaurants were closed, and Jewish people didn't have many options of places to go or be. The Chinese restaurants were open because they follow a different calendar. Now, obviously, the consumption of Chinese food is very unkosher for a traditional kosher observant Jew. Unfortunately, for many Jewish people living in America at that time, they felt that assimilating would be a way that they could finally be accepted by the world. Many of the Italian and German restaurants at the time were not so welcoming to the Jews. The Chinese, however, welcomed anyone who would come in and pay for a meal. This feeling of being welcome and trying a food that's different, that's exotic, different from the traditional Jewish cuisine, made the consumption of Chinese food an easy transition for the assimilating Jew. Additionally, Chinese cooking generally doesn't incorporate the cooking of milk and meat together, which is a problem according to the laws of kosher. This caused these newly trafed Jews to feel less guilty about their religious deviations. Furthermore, Chinese cooking often involves lots of chopping and mincing, which makes the pork or the shrimp or the other chazarai look less recognizable, which made for an easier transition for these Jews. Additionally, many times the pork was wrapped in the wontons, which sort of hid the treif from the naked eye, and reminding them of the traditional Jewish food known as the kreppel. So sadly, the consumption of Chinese food on Christmas is something that led to the mass assimilation of many Jewish people at the turn of the century. Our sages teach us that the food we consume has a very powerful impact on our soul. By eating kosher food, it empowers and strengthens our spiritual connection to our soul and to God. And spiritually unkosher food has the opposite effect. It weakens the soul and weakens the faith that a Jew has in God. Today, however, we are blessed to live in wonderful times where a Jewish person could indeed enjoy and indulge in the delicious flavors of Chinese cuisine, which is actually kosher. There are kosher Chinese restaurants in all major Jewish cities. So if you have an itch to eat some Chinese on this Christmas day, I encourage you to go and do the kosher options. Make a big bracha, and remember, the food we eat can either weaken our spiritual connection or strengthen our connection to God. Remember, no pork on your fork. I hope you learned something new today, and wishing you a Merry Monday.